Okay, welcome. I'm going to do a quick tutorial on absolute value equations. This is part of Algebra 1 curriculum. You should be familiar, comfortable with running or working absolute value equations. If you are starting Algebra 2 and training Algebra 2 and beyond, as a reminder, absolute value equations are, you can think of them as the distance from 0 to any particular number. For instance, let's say here, 0 split two numbers on the number line. Here's 10, here's 0, here's -7. It's not totally to scale, but let's not worry about that. So the distance from 0 to 10 is 10 units, okay? Right. And the distance from -7 to 0 is 7 units, okay? So we don't have a negative values. We only have positive values with absolute value equations. And we're looking at the output. So, for example, if I say the absolute value of 10, well, it would be equal 10. It's 10 units from 0. If I said the absolute value of 7 or -7 is 7 also. So 7 units from 0. Note, it's not the opposite. So it's not like the opposite sign absolute value of -7 is 7. Absolute value of 10 is 10. It's not -10. Okay, so let's do an equation. These are equations. Means has an equal sign in it. Let's say we have something like this. Okay? So sorry. This has a weird 2 in it. Okay. And we are multiplying by 2. Okay, so here we have 2 absolute value of x plus 8 equals 28. The first thing we want to do is to isolate the opposite value. Here we have this coefficient is 2 in front, so we want to get rid of that. We're going to do that by dividing both sides by 2. So 28 divided by 2 is 14. Okay, we now have our absolute value sign has been isolated. It's on one side of the equation, and we're going to break it into 2 parts. So really, you can think of an absolute value as 2 problems, not just one problem. It's really 2 problems. Now I'm going to take my absolute value or numbers in the absolute value and put parentheses around them. I'm going to do it twice. Like I said, it's really 2 problems. Now, one side we're going to say is negative. The value that comes out of that absolute sign is negative. For example, if we take absolute value of 7 is 7, absolute value of -7 is also 7. So we're kind of looking backwards and saying, what could have been inside, since the opposite value strips out negative numbers. So we replace that. We say, oh, okay, well that 8 plus x could be negative, or that 8 plus x could be positive. We really have to separate entirely separate equations. The next thing we do, or a couple of things we can do in mathematics, we are always looking for kind of the easier way to do things. If this x was negative, I would probably distribute this negative sign across here to change the sign here. It's positive. So the easiest thing for me to do right now is divide by -1. I could also multiply by -1. It really doesn't make any difference. That gets the negative side off the left side of the equation and makes that 14 negative. I'm going to go on and solve the left side. Continue on solving that. No, I don't need the parentheses anymore. Okay, so I have a very simple equation. Now I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. Okay, so that is -22. Okay. So that's one possible answer. Let's solve this one. This one's simpler because we do not have a negative sign here, or you're going to subtract 8 from both sides. So that's 6, okay? So I have 2 possible sayers. The x could be -2. This is x could be 6 for our absolute value equations. We're going to want to look at the original equation and see if that number. You can think of these as suggestions. Or it could be, I want to make sure it makes sense. We don't have to go back to our original problem. We can go back to this stage right here, where we've isolated the absolute value, 2. To put the numbers back in, we do not have to go all the way back to our original equation. So we can take this 8 plus x, and we're going to put our numbers in. So negative 22 plus 8. Okay? And over here, it's 6 plus 8 equals 14, and done. Okay, so negative 2 plus negative 22 plus 8 is negative 14. And the absolute value of negative 14 is 14. So this one is valid answer, and 6 plus 8 is also 14. It's a positive 14. So absolute value 14 is 14. So they're both possible answers. So for this problem, we are just going to say x is equal to usually list the lowest number first. And we're talking about negative numbers being lower. Think of the number line, right? If we go to number line, negative numbers are to the left. Positive numbers are to the right. So negative 22 and 6 are the answers, and those would be my final answers. All right. Thanks.